Zak Brown has once again turned his attention toward Red Bull, stirring up discussions about their driver lineup. The McLaren boss has questioned Red Bull's decision to pick Liam Lawson over Yuki Tsunoda, a choice that has left many in the paddock scratching their heads. But that's not all. Brown hasn't shied away from voicing his thoughts on Verstappen's future and his increasingly tense relationship with Christian Horner. With McLaren now emerging as a serious contender, Brown's statements carry more weight than ever. But will these remarks rattle Red Bull? And more importantly, how will the drivers react to the added scrutiny? The ongoing rivalry between Brown and Red Bull has only intensified. This time, the focus is on why Lawson was given the opportunity over Tsunoda. According to Brown, the Japanese driver's performance in the six-race window he was given in 2024 was more than enough to secure him a spot. Yet Red Bull opted for Lawson, who has just 11 Formula One races under his belt. Publicly addressing the situation, Brown remarked, "Yuki did an outstanding job. He's probably the one who deserved that Red Bull seat if you look at his results. But for some reason, they make some questionable choices when it comes to their drivers." Brown isn't the only one with this thought, but he is among the few bold enough to say it out loud. He knows that by bringing this up, he's putting Red Bull under pressure. In the high-stakes world of F1, sometimes disrupting the narrative is enough to cause internal chaos. But is there more to this than just performance? Even Tsunoda himself hinted that something else was at play. When asked about the decision, he admitted, "I didn't really question why Lawson got the seat over me. From what I heard, it wasn't about performance, it was more of a political decision." Tsunoda's words suggest that Red Bull's decision-making process isn't always based purely on results. While he didn't press for a clear answer, his response hints at internal factors influencing driver selections, something that has long been a talking point in the F1 world. But Brown didn't stop there. Instead of focusing solely on Lawson's appointment, he took things a step further by weighing in on one of the most debated topics on the grid, Max Verstappen's future. The reigning world champion has been at the center of speculation, and Brown seems convinced that his time at Red Bull is nearing its end. Speaking to The Telegraph, Brown confidently predicted, "I think he'll leave at the end of this season, most likely to Mercedes. There's been talk about Aston Martin as well, especially with Adrian Newey joining. But if I had to place a bet, it would be on Mercedes. They've won multiple championships in the last decade, and they offer stability." Brown's reasoning? Mercedes still has the infrastructure and competitive mindset needed to win. He pointed out that Russell's contract expires at the end of the season, and with Verstappen's growing frustrations at Red Bull, the timing couldn't be better for a move. His comments aren't just speculation, they add fuel to an already growing fire. Verstappen's future has been a major topic in recent months, with whispers of tension behind the scenes at Red Bull. Brown, known for his calculated statements, likely understands the impact of his words. By openly discussing Verstappen's potential exit, he is applying indirect pressure on Red Bull's leadership, particularly Horner. But this isn't the first time Brown has taken shots at Red Bull. His rivalry with Horner dates back to 2022, when Red Bull was found guilty of breaching the budget cap. Brown was among the most vocal critics at the time, calling for full transparency and stricter penalties. His stance didn't make him many friends in the Red Bull camp, and his recent remarks show that he hasn't softened his approach. Brown's criticism of Red Bull isn't just about their driver choices or Verstappen's future. It extends to the way the team operates. His long-standing rivalry with Christian Horner has been one of the most intense in the paddock, and he hasn't been shy about voicing his disapproval. When asked about his relationship with Horner, Brown didn't hold back. "There's no love lost between us," he admitted. "I don't like the way he operates, and I'm sure he feels the same about me. But that's part of the sport. Rivalries like these have always existed. Some are just more intense than others." Brown's words reflect the growing animosity between the two team bosses. It's no secret that McLaren and Red Bull are now in direct competition, and with McLaren's rapid rise, Brown has more reason than ever to challenge Red Bull's authority. The transformation at McLaren has been remarkable. Just 2 years ago, they were struggling in the midfield, far from being considered championship contenders. But through a series of structural changes, improved aerodynamics, and strategic leadership, they have turned things around. The MCL39 has proven to be one of the most competitive cars on the grid, allowing McLaren to challenge Red Bull's dominance. This resurgence has given Brown the confidence to speak his mind without hesitation. Unlike in previous years, when Red Bull's superiority made it difficult for rivals to challenge them publicly, McLaren is now in a position where their words carry weight. Brown's remarks aren't just empty criticism, they're backed by performance on the track. But while McLaren continues to climb, Red Bull faces mounting challenges. Their latest struggles in tire management have exposed weaknesses that teams like McLaren are eager to exploit. Verstappen himself acknowledged that McLaren had a significant advantage in tire degradation, something Red Bull needs to address if they want to stay ahead. Verstappen's recent comments highlight a growing concern for Red Bull. After the latest race, he admitted, "In the first stint, we had no chance at all. McLaren was much faster. I just tried to keep things under control, but our tire degradation was much worse compared to them." This is a major shift from Red Bull's usual dominance. In previous seasons, they had a clear edge in tire management, allowing Verstappen to control races with ease. Now, with McLaren setting the benchmark, Red Bull finds itself playing catch-up. Verstappen pointed out that other teams faced similar struggles, but McLaren's ability to preserve their tires better than anyone else gave them a decisive advantage. This issue is something Red Bull must address quickly. If they don't find a solution, they risk falling further behind, especially with McLaren gaining momentum. For Verstappen, this adds another layer of complexity to his future with the team. If Red Bull can't maintain their competitive edge, would he be willing to stick around? Meanwhile, Brown remains focused on Red Bull's internal challenges. While he has been vocal about their driver decisions and team operations, some argue that he should also be looking at potential tensions within his own camp. The rivalry between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris is heating up, and managing both drivers effectively will be crucial for McLaren's long-term success. During the last race, team orders came into play when Piastri was asked to hold position, due to lapped traffic ahead. His response was telling, "I'm faster, but okay." This moment hinted at a competitive edge that could develop into something bigger if not handled properly. Later, when given the green light to push, Piastri made a mistake, but the incident showed that he isn't interested in being a second driver. Brown later clarified the situation, explaining that the call to hold position was purely strategic. "It was just a temporary instruction while navigating lapped traffic," he said. "Once we got through that, they were free to race." However, the exchange between Piastri and Norris made one thing clear. Piastri isn't content with playing a supporting role. McLaren's internal dynamic is shaping up to be one of the most fascinating storylines this season. Norris has long been the face of the team, but Piastri's rapid development means that McLaren now has two drivers capable of leading the charge. If not managed properly, this could turn into a tense rivalry, similar to past intra-team battles like Hamilton versus Rosberg or even Verstappen versus Ricciardo. For now, McLaren's focus remains on maintaining their upward trajectory. Their latest car has proven to be one of the best on the grid, excelling in multiple conditions. Even in wet weather, where unpredictability often levels the playing field, McLaren's tire management gave them a noticeable edge. This is precisely where Red Bull is struggling, and Verstappen himself acknowledged that their ability to extract maximum performance from the tires is unmatched. "The way McLaren handles tire wear is incredible," Verstappen admitted. "It's not something we can easily match. That's our main area for improvement right now." His words make it clear. Red Bull isn't just facing pressure from McLaren in terms of pace, but also in strategy and race execution. With McLaren closing the gap and Brown keeping the heat on Red Bull with his public statements, the pressure is mounting on Verstappen and the entire team. Red Bull's response to these challenges will determine whether they can hold on to their dominance or if McLaren is ready to take over as the new frontrunner in Formula One. With Red Bull feeling the heat from McLaren's rapid rise, the stakes have never been higher. Verstappen knows that staying ahead won't be as easy as it once was. His concerns about tire degradation and McLaren's growing dominance hint at a season that could be far more competitive than anyone expected. Meanwhile, Zak Brown continues to stir the pot with his statements, making it clear that McLaren is not just here to compete, they're here to win. His focus on Red Bull's internal struggles might be a tactic to disrupt their momentum, but he also needs to ensure that his own team remains united. With Piastri pushing hard and Norris eager to establish himself as McLaren's #1 driver, internal conflicts could become a challenge if not managed carefully. For Red Bull, the immediate priority is clear: fix their tire issues and regain their competitive edge. Verstappen's future remains a hot topic, with speculation about a possible move to Mercedes or even Aston Martin. If Red Bull doesn't step up their game soon, they could risk losing the driver who has brought them so much success. As the season unfolds, one thing is certain: Formula One is in for a thrilling battle. McLaren's resurgence, Red Bull's struggles, and the ongoing driver market drama will keep fans on the edge of their seats. Will Red Bull overcome their challenges and retain their dominance, or is this the beginning of a new era led by McLaren? Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure: this season is shaping up to be one of the most intense in recent memory.